right, everybody, today is the day. Today we're gonna track drums for a couple of solo songs that I'm doing on my own, where I'm playing guitar and sing. And we're gonna track drums for these songs today, not at any studio, but at Hansa Studios in Berlin, one of the most prolific and legendary studios in the world. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to take you with me on that ride. But while we do that, I'm going to focus on how we professionals actually prepare for studio sessions like these. How much do we, rehearse? What kind of preparation goes into that studio sessions that starts today? And all these different things. So whenever you're be in the studio in the future, you maybe have a checklist or something, what you can do to be best prepared for studio situations. So it's 9 a.m. in the morning, I have to leave. Sasha, my drummer, is already waiting at Hansa Studios, so I have to roll, guys. See you in a bit. I guess I'm gonna do this right here in the drum room while Sasha is building up his kit. Sash, what are the first steps of preparation when we go into the studio like this? The first thing is we rehearse.
No, we realize we're not worthy being here.
That's true. We realize we're not worthy being here in Hansa Studios, in the studio where David Bowie, Iggy Pop, U2, REM, and many, many others recorded. But that's beside the point. The thing that we want to talk about is preparation. So how do we prepare for a session like that? Usually what you do first is you share the demos that you have with the musicians you're going to record the songs with. And in my case, the demos were already finished to a point where the song was like 90 to 95% final. The only things that you need to rehearse then are a couple of transitions from one part into the other. And that's basically what you do in your little rehearsal sessions before you go into the studio. So in our case, Sasha and I met up twice in a rehearsal space, and we went over the demos. He listened to it before, and then we would spend roughly 2 hours each day and go over the 3 songs that we're going to record tonight. So basically where we stand while we're building up the setup right now is Sasha knows all the songs by heart at this point. We don't have to fiddle with any parts anymore. He's going to build up his drum set, we're going to do a sound check, and then we go directly into doing takes, full takes. And all the things that we're going to fiddle with while recording are things like, hey, is this the right fill to transition from one part into the other? Is this the right energy? But in essence, the songs are 100% ready. As soon as the red light goes on, everybody knows what's up. No quitter, take one.
No quitter, take one. Und
the specialty about today's session is that we're only recording drums. No other band members are playing. So the song Sasha is going to be playing to is the demo without the drums. So this is another thing that you should prepare when you're doing a session like that, or that's at least how we do it all the time. You bring the demo, you bring it without drums, so Sasha can play live drums to the track he's used to hearing when we were rehearsing. So in essence, that means for every song that you bring to the studio, you need to bring the demo for yourself, for the band, for the engineers to listen to, and you need to bring a rendition of that demo without the drums. So when it's time to track drums, the drummer can play drums to the actual demo. So 2 versions for every song that you're bringing. Okay, then another thing we need to talk about that also belongs to preparation is actually very important, and it's being nice to people. So this morning, I brought pretzels for everybody just because it lightens up the mood. Think about when you are in your workplace, in the office, or wherever you work, and somebody brings cake, lightens up the mood, right? And the mood is so important when you're doing studio sessions because you're working with other people. Nobody wants to work with an asshole. And you're not an asshole if you don't bring pretzels to the studio, but obviously the mood in the studio needs to be good. Session musicians call this the hang. The hang needs to be good. The company needs to be good in the studio because it's an extreme situation. You're spending such an incredible amount of time with a couple people in these kinds of rooms. And you want the attitude to be friendly, you want it to be positive, you want it to be, you want it to be productive. Get back to work! And so one of the things you can do is, through random acts of kindness, bring pretzels, be funny, just be a decent human being. That's really important because in a people business, if you're not a good hang, nobody wants to work with you again. So preparation and pretzels. P&P, everybody. Pretzels and preparation. That's the key. Here's the last thing that you should prepare for or learn or watch out for when you're in the studio and you want to get a session done professionally. And that is giving and receiving feedback in a respectful and constructive way. So for example, we just finished drum tracking in there. So 3 Joey Jones solo songs, the drum tracks are finished for those. Obviously, within these 3 tracks, there were a couple points of feedback that either I or the engineer had to say towards the drummer. And the thing is, you need to be respectful when you do feedback like that because it's something highly emotional when we talk about music. And often it's a matter of taste rather than being wrong or right. So for instance, I would say, this drum fill walks over my vocal. And then what you need to do is formulate that in a respectful and positive way. So the drummer in the drum room with the pressure on, with the red light in front of his face, doesn't feel bad about that, doesn't feel like he failed, doesn't feel like he fucked up, but more like, hey, this is great, but it would be even better if you actually didn't walk over the vocal and the fill actually ended before the vocal starts. So often it's about, hey, could we try this in a different way? I know this is good, but maybe this could even be better. That would be a constructive and positive form to, feedback somebody's work. Und halt einfach die Energie hoch, die ist richtig gut so. Genau, weil das ist das Wichtigste. You are concise with what you want, what you need out of a song, but also you're always giving constructive feedback. You're always being friendly. But giving and receiving feedback is something that a lot of people never properly learned. And in a studio situation, it's something you gotta learn fast because if you confront another musician, an engineer, or whoever with, hey, I really didn't like what you did there, that's probably not gonna go over well. So keep it friendly, be able to receive and give feedback like an adult. How do I implement an idea here and make the song even greater than it already is? That would be the right approach to give and receive feedback. Very, very important. So, in closing, as I'm enjoying my last couple hours here at Hansa Studios in that legendary space where U2, David Bowie, Iggy Pop, and so many other bands have recorded, Biffy Clyro, you name them. all these great bands, and I'm in the same room and I am able to record songs, solo songs where I'm singing, where I'm playing guitar, has been an absolute pleasure. It's been a privilege, and I'm just soaking in all these moments, and I'm so, so happy I did it and I was able to do it. Feel very, very privileged. And as I'm closing out the session with my friend and drummer, Sasha, and our engineer, Kian, who is amazing, I just want to say thank you for watching. Thank you for checking out what's happening behind the scenes here. This is the start of a couple of Joey Jones solo songs, and you'll be able to hear them very, very soon. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.